I'm a lot more comfortable talking when I'm on the bike and doing something.
Yeah, as
opposed to like
being put in front of the camera and trying to talk. It is different. It's not my forte.
So I'm here at Momentum, and I'm here with Finn, and we're doing a bike fit on the Giant Defy, and I've done a lot of ultras this year with no bike fit and I've had a few niggles on these races.
Off the basis of this, we've got a dynamic imprint of what your foot's doing under a normal gait cycle, which shows that you collapse inwards quite a bit sort of through your rear foot, which is what's indicating through here, and you do it a little bit more steeply on this left side. I mean, a normal distribution curve, thinking about where your centre of pressure is through your foot, would be you would get some pronation initially, but it should normally sort of recorrect itself and come laterally again, which you don't really do too much of. You stay pretty close to that midline, and then normally you sort of have almost like a bit of a reverse S as you get through on this side. So this one lifts off a little bit harder, so you hit a little bit harder on this left heel, it collapses inwards steeply and so on. So you will be able to extrapolate some of that to obviously like a custom orthotic or footbed based on what it's seeing there. I mean, it is picking up that you've got sort of some relatively high risk on that because of your because of the dynamics of your foot. We can see that it's obviously you've got a low arch, which is with some rear foot pronation going on. So that just tells us exactly what it is doing under sort of your biomechanical profile.
So after that foot scan, we can send the scan away to get a custom orthotic made, and it comes out like something like this. So this is sent away to a company in Belgium, and they 3D print a mould based upon what it's seen in your scan. So a real high-end bit of kit, and really custom to the person with bike fitting. Just bend your own 90 degrees. Pedal it backwards again. There you go. So this is the Retool system we'll be working from. You can see a few different features of it. All of these dots on this little man here equate to what we've put on Josh. And once Josh starts riding, we'll see those dots moving around. Not yet, we'll have to be connected. This is the 3D tracking part of it.
Yeah.
So one of the benefits of Retool is it's not just a 2D profile of the rider, it measures 3D as well. So you can see how the knee tracks in relation to where the bike frame is and what sort of angle it is. You can often see sort of if it's not a bit of a wiggly line up here, it often indicates there might be an instability in the foot which is causing the knee to go off, or if you've got tight hip flexors, your knees might go out over. All these numbers here relate to a certain measurement, so based upon where the trackers are whilst you're cycling, we'll get a number in here, whether it's a degree, like an angle, or a measurement based upon how Josh is moving on the bike. There are preset ranges of what is recommended for a cyclist. In this case, a road cyclist on a Giant Defy, and it'll be colour coded orange or green depending on if it's within the range or not. So what's quite interesting is because we've obviously done the foot scan already, and sort of seen some instabilities and a bit of asymmetry, is the range the ankles move is very minimal. They're sort of fairly fixed in their position.
Yeah, is that bad?
Yeah, it's not as, it means your pedal stroke's not quite as dynamic.
Yeah.
And it means in terms of like leeway, so if you're having a bit of a knee issue like you've had, being able to sort of flex and extend your ankle, it means it takes up a bit of that slack if you've got tightness elsewhere. So obviously you'll generally be in a static position on the bike. So it's not the end of the world in my opinion, but it's something being able to do and try and incorporate that into your pedal stroke is it's beneficial. In terms of where you sat on the bike, it looks okay in terms of where it's at in comparison to the bottom bracket.
Yeah.
You obviously spend a lot of hours on your bike, so you'd expect it to be somewhere near enough right. One of my pet hates is when people go for a bike fit and the fitters feel the need to change stuff because they've had someone in who's paying money. I think if it's not broke, leave it to some extent. So what I want to look at first is if you take your shoes off, we'll have a look at your cleat position. So what we look for quite a lot, and is the common cause of knee pain specifically, is a cleat being too far forward. So essentially when your cleat's further forward, what it does, your ankle acts like a lever, so you're putting that lever point further forward and increasing the amount of leverage you have on your ankle, which can often cause sort of knee instability and putting your knee further forward over the pedal. You can often get a bit of knee pain for that. So having more rearward mid-foot cleat position is often beneficial, especially doing ultra cycling where you'll be in a static position for long periods of time. So I'm lowering the saddle not because the sort of leg ankle's different. What I'm trying to do is bring in your ankles a little bit more into your pedal stroke.
So that should alleviate pain that getting back.
Lower back as well.
Yeah.
But also in terms of your lower limbs. Like this, essentially this gap here. Is more open. So your hip flexors should stay a bit more open. You should stay within like a range of power more, opposed to like bringing your leg over the top of the pedal stroke being a dead spot, or forcing you to move your knees out a little bit. We've straightened up slightly compared to where we were to begin with. So. Not too bad. So we've just run a G-biomised pressure mapping on Josh on his bike after we've had a few altercations of the position. So what we've looked for and what G-biomised does is we put a cover over the saddle and it's got multiple sensors in. So these sensors pick up where the pressure points are on the saddle and then give us an overview like this. So I can play this through. And you can see as Josh is pedalling, you're obviously moving from loading one side to the next and back and forth. You can see this little red dot actually, which is the sort of where the centre of the pressure is. So as he's pedalling, that's moving side to side. Once I stop that, it gives you an overview. So this overview is where the highest points of pressure are. So we can see on Josh is slightly further forward, and the way Josh is sat, so it's fairly symmetrical. We can then do an overview of, so we can see he's sat 52% forward, 48 back, so you generally class him as a front loader on the saddle, and again side to side, slightly biased to the left side, but not sort of anything of concern to me. So you brought in a few aero bars today.
Yes.
So a few different styles. Your sort of traditional Fabian Cancellara style straight bar.
Ski bar.
More ski bar, and then a short bar as well. So all offering different advantages and disadvantages. So on a road bike, if you're looking to put this type of clip-on bar on, one of the issues we generally see is your handlebar height is generally too low for a TT bar height. So being able to wedge your extension is the most important thing. So if these have got a small little wedge in, often a lot of the cheaper ones you'll find will just not have that wedge in. So your ski bar ends up being down here, which is no good to anyone, especially when we've talked about that comfort conversation.
You want to be as high as possible.
You want to be essentially as high as possible. So for Josh, we've looked at a few things. Firstly, we looked at the rear end of the bike, where Josh is sitting in relation to where his bottom bracket is and where his pedals are. We played around a little bit with saddle height, actually ended up reverting back to where we are. Like a lot of people who ride the bikes all the time, they find somewhere that's normally comfortable. We're not going to try and make changes when they're not needed. We've also changed a little bit on the front end. So for an ultra endurance athlete, the front end was quite low. Luckily, on this nice new bike, the steer is still uncut. So we've been able to raise it up a little bit, and hopefully, because Josh has got quite tight hip flexors at the moment, hopefully that lets his legs move underneath him a bit more smoothly.
And when I put aero bars on for an ultra distance race, that'll be better for that as well.
They'll be in a better position for that as well. Again, like we mentioned before, you still want the aero bar slightly higher than where your road bar position is. So wedging out that aero bar slightly from underneath to give you a few extra centimetres of height on the aero bar is important, but yeah, it's going to be in a better position for you now.
Comfortable as fast.
Yeah, similar reasons to why we've raised your handlebars up is you don't want your hip flexor and your hip angle to close massively when you go onto those aero bars. So what we're doing here is, after the fit, we use what's called a Lezyne, which is from Retool, and we take measurements on points of the bike, and what that does, it gives us a picture of how the bike's set up. So where your hoods are in relation to your saddle, where your bars are, how high your stack is, where your saddle is in relation to the bottom bracket in terms of how high it is, and also the fore and aft. So if you want to transition this onto a different bike, you can take your bike fit and use all those measurements to get your new bike set up the way you want it. So if you want to find out more about us, you can find us at momentum_SIC on Instagram or www.momentumsic.com. Those links will be in the description. We don't just do bike fits here, we do physio, we've got a gym where we do rehab, and also quite sport specific strength and conditioning training. I also have my own business, Aerofin Performance, so if you want to find me, it's Aerofin Performance on all socials and aerofinperformance.co.uk.
If you're in the northeast, definitely check out Finn, and yeah, thanks for watching.